trying to make a song, Mom. Stop it. Get out of here.
All right, man, I hate rants like this, but I can't sit back and just let somebody do this to the community and let them sit there and think that they are some kind of a righteous person that is doing great things for everyone. And I'm going to talk about CRISCROS Communist here. It's a guy that is, first of all, I endorse his builds. If you are a vanilla player and you want to understand glitch mechanics buildings and you want to play like that, he has a great channel. The guy is really good at building, probably one of my favorites in-game glitch builders, so to say. So, with that being said, his attitudes towards anybody else that does anything outside of that, or does it in Blender or PC mod stuff like that, he doesn't see that as art. It's too easy for him. He was very condescending with me. He loaded up the question, and it's kind of a little unfair because I baited him back. So I'm kind of a jackass myself, but I watched this guy come into the Facebook group and start making complaints, and then he made this remark on my post, which I knew was he wanted somebody to say something about it so he could go into it in a more elaborate way. And I did premeditate what his response was, and I was right though. At the end of all of this, you get to see the real true come out in him. He wants me to put a mark on me. He wants me to put a mark on all my posts like I'm some Jew, so all the purebloods can know when a Blender build comes out. And I am in a cross-play group. He claims to have a whole bunch of groups of his own that he's not posting in, or maybe he does, but he's over on a regular group for everyone, telling me that I need to put a mark on my post so all the people don't get discouraged. And then the work that he does is better because it's for the community and it's for the purists, because somehow people can't afford a PC or understand Blender, but it's so easy to him. I don't get it. It's a very contradictory conversation that I had with you, CRISCROS, and you got some issues that I think you need to work on as a human being. And this game is 5 years old, and people can have PCs, buddy. I don't know what your problem is or what you think you are, but you are not the Jesus Christ who sacrificed himself so everybody cannot be called a Blender builder. You are ridiculous. And I present to you the No Man's Sky community communist, CRISCROS Communist. All right, guys, No Man's Sky needs some drama, and here it is. I don't usually like to be the one to bring it to you, but I'm not going to just sit idly by, and I'm not that channel that has to coddle everybody for likes and subscribes. So if we lose some, if we gain some, I don't really care. And usually on something like this, both parties get some traffic and some subscribers. So I'm sorry, CRISCROS Applesauce, I'm going to do this to you, but I'm doing a new segment called No Man's Sky Community Communist. And this first segment's going to go to CRISCROS Applesauce. Now listen, I like this guy. His builds are top notch, man. Probably one of my favorite builders. Personality-wise, I begs to be a little desired from me. I don't really care for it. His last request to me was to be transparent with the community, so here we are. I want to be transparent with everybody because he is the... I don't know. I would say, like, from after talking to this guy, I would like, maybe my point of view was that he is Jesus Christ and he's died on the cross for your sins, so you don't have to be called a Blender builder as a console builder. Very upset about this, and let's just go read into this. Let's backdraft this just for a second and go back for a minute. He just joined some of the Facebook groups, came in and very cockily introduced himself with all of his builds, and he builds great, man. Love the guy. With all confidence, he deserved that welcome and everything else. I think it's weird when someone does that, but he totally can do that, man. The guy is a great builder. The best, I don't think so. I mean, there's people that I like, and I don't even think I'm the best. I think we're all great builders. And I love even the small builds and stuff like that, but some people have like some really crazy egos. But if you go back and look at some of, I blocked him, so I can't go back and show you, but if you looked at all of them, he goes out of his way to make sure everybody knows that they're not Blender builds, and that he doesn't use mods, and that's fine, man. I get that, man, and I understand that people are going to do that, but it's not my fault, man. You know what I'm saying? And you are also in a No Man's Sky community page. This is not a console group. This is, you know, where you're not going to find that on a PS5 group or a Xbox group or something like that. You won't find me over there either. So that'd be really weird if I posted a Blender build and a PS5 group build. Then this whole conversation probably could have happened just like this, and I would have been the a-hole for being there. But everybody goes onto his post and says something about Blender. And, you know, he wants to prove that, you know, everybody can do it without Blender. But the first thing that he said on my post, and I knew this was the shot across the bow, this is a loaded question because he wants to prove to everybody that this is the Blender build and this is not, this is what I can do without it and whatever else, and that he's better. Is a really crazy thing. I don't quite get it. But someone discovered a nifty Blender plugin. Looks great. That's very condescending, and don't think that this is innocent. He premeditated this. He knew exactly what he was saying, and I already knew it too. My response down here was a shot across his bow, just as subtly too. I don't go after anything that he does or anything that he does or any of his skills. All I do is game mechanics and comparing to Blender. I don't say anything about his stuff, but I knew that he was going to take it that way. So I took his bait and I baited him. I rebaited the bait and threw it back. So I hate limits. Building 5 things that don't belong makes glitch build to make a glitch build happen is redundant. I think it is, and especially that if you can have a PC and get around it, I think it is. I can glitch build with the best of them. Maybe not so much. I mean, I can glitch build, and if I put time to it, I could. It's about placing the parts and pieces, but maybe that was a bold statement of me, but sure I could. But it's a waste of time if you can do it efficiently, which is my point. I have over 500 builds archived and can move wherever and whenever, and I have hundreds of preset shapes. This is a really cool part about Blender. And place parts at will. Charlie Banks made the plugin due to poor game mechanics. Blender is professional building compared to in-game compromise glitch building. It's far superior. I think you can get the same results, but it's not professional. I mean, if you're using Blender, I think it's a kind of a, I'm not saying that it's better. I just think it's a more professional tool to get the results, and it's way different, and you're going to get better results. I don't care what you are or what you say. Let's go ahead and read his response. Now, the bait has been set, and watch how he comes back. And this is going to be, you know, almost like putting words in my mouth and stuff like that. Okay, so good for you. The only limits to building in-game are the 3,000 part counts and your imagination. Yeah, sort of. I mean, there's a whole lot of builded parts, and then plus it changes, and the build mechanics have changed. Are you even going to be promised that it's going to be like this tomorrow or after the next update? Who knows? So your first statement right there is wrong, and you're very. I don't know. I can't get over that one. More or less 3x3 scaling. Almost everything you can do in Blender, I can do in game. I just don't think so, man. I mean, you do great stuff, but you can't. I can do some ridiculous things in Blender. I can't even begin to start what I can do. I can go and take your build and explode it and make it look like it's blowing in wind. Your build, CRISCROS. So you're not doing that in game with yourself, and that's just the tip of the iceberg. I can keep on going with the countless of things that you can do in Blender. Okay, so yeah, I can. I move bases hold on, let's see. I can do in game. I choose to do all my builds in game as to not to alienate console players or in any way discourage other builders. That's a humanitarian for you right there. CRISCROS, you are let's hats off to him for not discouraging people. You know, I hate that I do that, man. And now that I realize that I do that, I maybe am looking back and reflecting on some things. I am being sarcastic. I play on PC. I move bases around and know Blender fairly well. Again, I choose to take the time and practice building in-game and teach others to do so because I don't want to deter fellow players from learning building themselves. It's my little way of bragging and giving back to the community. No need to get all defensive. I wasn't. I just said that I like prefer whatever. I wasn't even getting defensive yet. I hadn't gotten defensive yet, but I will after this. You do you, buddy. And I must say, your stuff looks fantastic, but it's just too easy for me to do personally. This guy is so full of himself. It's so crazy. As for calling Blender far superior, well, I guess if that's how you see it, personally, I don't. What I do takes patience and much more skill, because I feel like that's the best thing in life are never easy to accomplish. And it's great feeling that when people accuse me of using Blender and I get to say nope. I spent 200 hours building that dumb thing. LOL, cheers, mate. By the way, wire scaffolding in game is not redundant, at least not any more than real life when we use scaffolding to build structures. Yes, but you don't have to wire glitch that scaffolding into place and then attach floors to it to get an angle to a piece that needs to go over here to make an arch. So, yes, maybe you're right, buddy. Scaffolding is used, but not like that. Okay, you just can't be bothered to take the time to do it, and that's fine. Oh, I guess so. I mean, this is a purist point of view. His art is better than everybody else's art. So this is kind of a shitty way of thinking that you're just better than everybody else, and everybody else's art, he just devalued anybody else that's doing anything else. And he did the same thing on my post that he hates other people doing on his post. And I think this is really, really, really crazy. I am crazied out by this. Okay, so I point that out too on the next one. I said, okay, I also see that you always pointing out that you don't use Blender, and then the first thing you do is call out one. What if I glitched it? He doesn't even know anything. If his proof is to say that you can do it without in-game mechanics, and he gets mad that everybody assumes that he uses Blender, and then he came over and assumed that I used Blender. He didn't even be like, hey, is this a Blender build or is this a regular build? Didn't even ask. So you're crusading for doing the same thing that you're doing over on my page against people to do against your page. Do you see this is crazy. This is crazy. I think, what if I glitched it? Did you ask? Do people do this to you but think you use Blender? And this is where I already know what he's mad about. Kind of weird of you. And Blender is hard. I go into saying something about Blender is hard. You wouldn't see everybody using it and doing it, you know. So now here he comes back. This gets thick, man. The reason I point out that I don't use Blender is because I'm tired of 90% of the comments on my build being in regards to me using Blender somehow. And like I've said, I don't for many reasons. I could, but it's no fun and not challenging. And whatever else he says, some belittling stuff about art and how it's better. My builds are better because I don't use Blender and I'm crusading for everybody. Gosh, dude. I knew your original comment was loaded. Did you get it all out? Feel better now? No one cares how either of us build, but Blender is better. So there's my final shot. But no one really cares. I mean, no one's coming down here and looked at this. No one really cares. It's been deleted. At the end of this, I knew that he's a person that I don't need to be around. I respect his builds. I think they're art. Even though he doesn't think that mine are art, I still endorse this guy. But he is a loaded question. Be careful. So I said, but Blender is better. Glad to see that you are good at Blender too. Be careful saying that out loud because you have an image to uphold. Because he says that he uses Blender and he's good at it, but he doesn't want to use it. So now I question this guy if he does Blender or not, or if he just imports bases over to his channel. Who knows? But he teaches it, so. Not as if it mattered, because it'd still be art. Geez. Dude, what the hell is your problem? If you knew it was a loaded comment, why did you respond? It's almost like this was my post. It seemed, was this my post? It seemed like this was my post. So I have no couth for responding the way that I did. How dare I, CRISCROS, respond to my own post with you firing a shot across my bow, aiming at other people to make sure that they know that my build is a Blender build and that you are the guy that can do it, but doesn't ask if anybody else did it. I mean, do you listen to yourself? It's absolutely crazy. All right, so let's get on to this. So this is when I blocked him. I cut everything off, and then he sent me a message. Let's go into this really quick here. Yeah. So yeah, let's go back here. Let's read this real quick. I feel as though we've gotten off to the entirely wrong foot. So let me try to explain a little bit better. Let me sit down and talk to you, son. Let's see. I mean, no offense, and wish no animosity between a fellow No Man's Sky builder. I explain why I don't use Blender to build. I don't know. I'm trying to read that. You could hold on. Yeah, hold on a second here. Let's see. Why? And you could add whatever context to that you wish. But I find it interesting that you don't mention it in your post that you use Blender. So now I'm supposed to announce it. Like I'm in the wrong for misleading people in a group that's aimed for everybody, but I have to coddle and console people, and I know it because if I put it out loud, then he wants me to put it out there bad so everybody can banish me. I know what putting Blender on the headline does. It gets a bunch of disrespectful people just like you, CRISCROS, up my ass. And yeah, good. I hope you do feel it. I want somebody to comment on your post every single time that it looks like a Blender builder. It looks like cute, like somebody found a cute little Blender plugin. I hope you get it every single time, man. You deserve it now. At the same time, I'm a bit cynical, so for that I apologize. I myself am a countless jerkwad. That's not what he says. Hold up. There are literally dozens of communities dedicated to in-game building. And why aren't you in there? You know? And like I said, using Blender is fine, but I can't discourage console players. And it's discouraging for console players to see and not to see a Blender build and not to be able to do it in game and to think that they can. But your whole point just a minute ago was to tell everybody that you can do it in game. So is it discouraging, or does it really send them to you? Like you just contradicted yourself. Like, we can do it. But then I don't know, like, you're mad that you've proved that you can do it, so everybody does think you did it, but then you're mad that because they did, but then you say it's an honor and a badge to be called that, but you hate that you've been called that, and you want to be mad at me, and you have to take you know what your problem is, CRISCROS? You need to take yourself over to a console group only, buddy, and post there. You just talked about all these communities and all this stuff. I think you need to take it over there, man. Beyond that, the only reason they can't is because they don't have a PC. Yeah, it's not hard to get a PC, buddy. I mean, you're saying all these things like there's consoles the only option out there for people. It seems to be your only option. I'm sorry for that. They do make PCs, buddy, but it's very, your demeanor is terrible, man. And if you don't like it, get out of a No Man's Sky community page that is aimed for everybody and go over to your bland PS5 groups and get buried over there, man. I'm sorry, man. Don't come over to big boy territory and swing it like a big boy and get mad because people think you're a big boy. Shut up. Man, you victimized yourself professionally, man. And then you came over and made me a victim when I didn't want to be one, man. Yeah, jeez, man. My entire goal as No Man's Sky content creator is to help aspiring builders realize the in-game potential and not get discouraged when they see build like yours. This is condescending and crazy. This entire, let's see this here. This gets good. Come on. This entire conversation would never exist if you simply mentioned your post that you use Blender. That's all I ask: transparency and then integrity and honesty that comes with that. Well, there you go, buddy. Jesus Christ, how much more condescending and belittling can you possibly be? You know they make console groups. You want me to coddle and suckle your insecurities because everybody else thinks that you do Blender builds? and somehow this is my fault, and you want to come over and try to devalue
Bad guys.
my post by posting
PC
exactly what you
guys.
don't like people posting on your post. You are something else. Unfriend me and get the hell out of my area. You are something else. I made a video about you. I'm still going to endorse your channel because I think you're a great builder.
Still
but
do.
Your mindset is
He still
garbage.
is.
Go join a console group. Stay away from me, bro. You are trouble and something that I just don't even want on my side or near me. Go belittle and go take your purest views somewhere else because I don't give a shit.
Yeah, and I still don't, man. It was just kept on coming at me just because it's a bullseye of the wrong target, man. We could have just been friends and everything else, but I am his enemy, and it's like I don't know, or the fans, the other fans, hounded him so much and devalued his stuff that he had to come over and devalue mine to make himself feel better. CRISCROS, that's what you did. You devalued my artwork to make yours feel better because people were devaluing yours. I think that's crazy, buddy. You have great artwork and I love it, but your personality is, man, stinks, buddy. It stinks. Anyway, I'm going to leave everybody else on a good note. Tell somebody that you love them, call somebody up, and I will see you guys on the next video.